Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My guest today is Mr. Amit Assa, a retired colonel for the Shin Bet. And today with Amit, we'll talk about the war in Israel and specifically the Israeli warfare, what has been going on in the last few months and what to expect for the next months of this war. Thanks for your time, Amit. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you, and good morning for you also.
Well, would you like to tell us something about who you are? Because I mentioned that you're a retired colonel with the Shin Bet, but maybe my viewers would like to have a full picture about you, your background, whatever you feel is relevant.
Yeah, I think in general, Shin Bet it's raising up the thinking of what we see in the world as Mossad works and so ever. But Shin Bet is more working inside intelligence in Israel. And as I was in the Shin Bet all my years, I was dealing with the section of operational. So my specialty is undercover special operations in the Shin Bet. I was commander there, and I was training and recruiting and training a lot of personnel, warriors, agents, and put them undercover at the field and do undercover operations. So as a specialist of undercover operations, I was working also with the Mossad outside of Israel. Of course, most of the things that I did is secret, but part of the operations we can speak on, and we can see more the modus operandi of intelligence when we are speaking about agent, because it's one of the tools of intelligence. In the field of intelligence, we have a lot of tools, and I am a specialist of a field operation, agent operation at the field. Another word that we can say about my background: when I retired, I was writing a book. It's a novel. It's an espionage novel that published now in English, and I'm trying to do other languages now in the world, named infiltration games. And in the book, it's more that it's a novel. We can concentrate and see more the dilemmas of the operational agents at the field, personal dilemmas, operational dilemmas, and moral dilemmas, and it's getting into the mind of the operation. So as I can say about myself in the aspect of what I did is more undercover operations at the field, but the intelligence in general is my subject of dealing now. I'm a commentator in a lot of television shows and other places as a specialist in intelligence and also strategic things that happens nowadays in Israel. So it's part of the things that I'm doing.
Okay, that's great. I think it was very interesting because also you explain what the Shin Bet is. That is something that probably the Western public doesn't get very well. So thanks for your explanation. Let's get to the matter of it. So there is a ceasefire that was announced a few days ago, last week, between Israel and Hezbollah. Do you think this can be the beginning of the end of this conflict?
I think this conflict didn't start in 2023 October, as we saw Hezbollah getting into operational conflict to Israel. The conflict is back before, and the main concept of this conflict is destroying Israel, destroying the Zionist deal of Israel here in the region. That the main concept comes from Iranian, and they built a lot of proxies, as we can say, in the region surrounding Israel to accomplish this wish of destroying Israel. So the conflict really didn't started a year ago or more than a year ago. it's back before. So if we are talking about now, when we see the ceasefire and we're talking about the ceasefire, we have to get into the base of it, to the base of the idea, because the ceasefire is because Israel is very strong in this world, in this war, and Hezbollah, as one of the places that we are fighting now in Lebanon against the Hezbollah, is getting he got a very strong hit on the forces, and he can do less than 20% that he had before. So he wants the ceasefire. But ceasefire in the Middle East, and most of it in the Islamic radical idea, is not making a peace. It's not making some arrangement for a future to live together. A ceasefire in the aspect of Islamic radical is just maintaining some kind of a stop of a war that will remain later, and we will achieve it later. So we have to do the ceasefire in that kind of thought to accomplish our arm, to save more power, and to attack Israel again. So as we can see, the ceasefire is good for the Western world to say, okay, there is the end of the conflict. But as we can know, and we can hear also, because they are saying it very clear, it's not the end of the conflict. For them, it's just some kind of a stage, let's say, in the war to destroy Israel. Now they have the ceasefire. They have to fulfill all the power that they lost, and at the future they will try again to do the same.
Okay, let's go back a few months in September with that Hezbollah pager explosion series. Can you explain us what happened and how that was possible?
Yeah, I can say just what we know now from
Sure.
the press, and what we know from what Hezbollah was interrogated in the field, because this is what we know, but it's a lot. Because when you are watching it and try to learn what happened there, we can see that it was prepared back before. What happened really is that the intelligence of the Israel intelligence, of course, Mossad was on it, but maybe other forces was getting an information that the Hezbollah intending to buy beepers or pagers, as we say, to the head of the commanders. And when the plan was going on, they are looking for a supplier. Then in that point, the intelligence is getting the stage of planning. We are not going to wait for the last minute. The minute that we know that they are looking for a supplier for these pages, we want to put our hand on the stage of the supplier. Why? Because if we know the supply chain, we know that we have to manufacture these pages, we have to bring them from one place to another, and then to send them to Lebanon. So in one of the stages at the way, we have to put our hands, as I can draw it as a picture, we have to put the hands on this supply and do something with it. As we know now, the supplier who manufactured the pages didn't know that we want to put the hands on it. So when it moves from the factory to the supplier, in the supplier chain, it doesn't mean that it went directly to the Hezbollah. It went first to the supplier in Europe. We put our hands on all the supplies of the pages, and then it was the time for us to do something with them. Now the technology have to be very creative, because these pages have to work as a pages. Nobody in the supply chain have to maybe to think that something is wrong with it. It has to work as a pager, but inside the pager there is something that we will be able to operate with some kind of a code, with some kind of a transmission from far away. So it will explode. It's not just the explosive that inside the pager, it's also the technology that inside the pager that will operate it the very first time that we wanted to push the red button and to explode everything in the same time. So it's not just the challenge of the supply chain. This is one side of the intelligence that we work on it. We all the time looking for things that they will buy and want to put our hands on the this object that they want to buy. It can be an arm, it can be some other things and we can be very creative with it, because they can buy a lot of things to the troops, maybe the manufacture of some kind of arm manufacture inside Lebanon. And if we are putting our hand at the way someplace, and we know where they are moving it from place to place, then we can think about a plan to put inside something. It can be even just a device for listening, for bugging conversations. It can be putting inside some kind of a program in the computers. You can be as much as creative that you want to be, but still you need it to be on the way from the place that they are manufacturing it, that they are building it, to the place that they want to send it to. And there is a lot of places at the way that you can put your hands there undercover, of course, that nobody knows about it, nobody is a part of it or associated with the idea. It's all secret, but this is one side. The other side will be technology. What kind of technology I can put in? And this device has to work first. It has to function as a real pager. From the other hand, there is something hiding there that we can operate. This is the two challenges in the intelligence operation like that.
How come these guys still use pagers instead of cell phones?
I'm sorry?
How come
Why?
these guys still use pagers instead of cell phones?
Look, in this time, we know that everything that goes on the air, we can bug, we can listen. That's why Hezbollah, as an army, as a force that wants to speak with the people that working under the organization, knows that if they will talk by the cellular, for example, there is some ability, even if it's encrypted, there is ability in the world, and we know that people are using it to bug these conversations. Okay, and what they know that it's working two ways. So as we are talking about devices like cellular, and you are listening to the both sides, somewhere in the middle, they wanted to use any kind of technology that will not be two ways. This is one side. The other side is locating information. What's happening with a cellular is that you can locate it by GPS. The location of the device is very important for the system. Why? Because when I'm holding my telephone, I want to speak with the system. The system will locate me and connect me to the first site that is very near to me. Meaning the system can locate me a GPS, and GPS is very accurate. And if we know now that we want to eliminate people, and we want to know where the exact point that they are sitting now, because we want to launch a missile to them, and we want to maybe send somebody to kill them by hands or any weapon, we need to know the location, the very exact location of the GPS location that they are all the time. And that's how we will learn about it, intelligence information about their location. And this is a thing that we don't have in the pager.
Okay.
In the pager, there's no GPS locator because pager is just receiving information from the net. So we can transmit the information in the net, and the pager, wherever he was, he can reach it. He can take it from the air. And the pager is not transmit anything to the air, meaning we can't locate GPS the pager. That's why the Hezbollah wants that their operators not take their cellular phone to the field, that nobody will know where are they, but they can give them a pager that one way we can transmit messages to them in real time. This is the why question of they are using pagers, that it's a very old-fashioned communication. It's a GPS locator that they have in the GPS system.
Well, what I'm thinking now is that this kind of attack was also tailored so that to avoid side casualties, because by making it something that small explode while somebody is having it in his pocket and is very targeted to the person that they want to kill. What are your thoughts about this? Was it a good way to avoid casualties?
Yes, we know that Israel is doing a lot to avoid casualties, surrounding casualties, that it's not necessary. We know that Hezbollah, as a terrorist organization, as the other terrorists like Hamas, is hiding behind civilians. Why is that? Because Israel, as a Western and moral ideas, doesn't want to kill unnecessary people in the world. We are not fighting everybody. We are fighting the terrorists. Then they are using it. As we can see, they are building the storage on the buildings in the Dahya of Lebanon. They are building the operational places near schools, inside hospitals. And why is that? Because they know that Israel will not bomb them. Even if in Hague you can fight and attack a place, even if it's a school or a hospital, you can attack it if you can prove that this facility is used for a war facility, as a troops facility, or any kind of launch missiles or whatever. If you can explain that this is the reason, you can hit it, because it's look like, and it's real war and army facility. But still, they know that Israel doesn't want to do this thing. That's why they are hiding behind the civilians. When we are taking this kind of pager with less explosive in it, that meant to attack just the person that is holding the pager, it's, of course, it's not a damage to the surrounding, it's not a damage for other people that it's not a necessary need, and it's very accurate, as we know that the terrorist, of course, is not using that. They are using the population as a human shield, that doesn't care about their population. Of course, our population is not the matter that they will hide. They will attack everything, but they know that we are not going to do it, so they are hiding behind population. And if you saw at the explosive in the pages, you can see that people was surrounding a lot of unarmed people at the mall, maybe at the offices, and the only person that was hit was the person that we wanted to be hit. It's the person itself that hold the pages in his hands.
What's the situation in general in Lebanon with Hezbollah? Because what I don't think is very clear here in the West is Lebanon as a country a hostage to Hezbollah, or does Hezbollah get the consent of the population? I think it's very complex. What can you help us shed some light on it?
Yes. First, we know that in Lebanon, it's not just Hezbollah, it's not just Shia. It's a lot of Sunni, it's a lot of Christian, it's a lot of maybe Druze. But Lebanon, it's a very various country of nations. And that's why they had a civil war years ago, because they are not quite very you can say that they have their problem inside, that we can't say who is the most powerful in Lebanon. What happens in a few years before is that Iran came into Lebanon situation. When Iran puts a lot of money in Hezbollah pockets and build it as a powerful public in Lebanon and arm it, Hezbollah was accomplished to achieve a political way, in the political way of Lebanon, a lot of force. And then the Shia, as you can see, there's a lot of Shia in Lebanon, but it's not the majority. But they have the most powerful because they have the arms from Iran. And this conflict inside Lebanon is very interesting, because we can say we can leave them to their problems, and what is Israel inside in this conflict. And Israel have no intention to get into Lebanon conflict. We want to live with a peace with Lebanon, with most of the people we can today. But we can see that the Iranian interest is other. The Iranian interest is to build the Hezbollah inside Lebanon, to put all the roles of the political inside Lebanon. And the only reason is to attack Israel from the northern border and to make another confronting front line to Israel in the north, to achieve what they want is destroying Israel. So this conflict inside Lebanon, we can see now that it's changed. Why is it? Because Israel really in that war made Hezbollah less powerful. When we are dealing with that kind of terrorist organization and losing their forces, other forces inside Lebanon, not radical, maybe Sunni, maybe a Christian, can get raised again and have more power than before and more power than Hezbollah. This can be changed the situation politically in Lebanon, and this is what important, what is interesting now in this conflict, because if Hezbollah will be less and less powerful, it will be good first to the Lebanese, not just for Israel. It can be good for the Lebanese because Hezbollah, with his force, forced themselves on the Lebanese in the last few years, and they had a lot of problem with it. And politically, if you want a country that it's not radical, is prosperity, and they heading to the west and not to the radical Islam at the east, you need the Hezbollah to put down the forces.
Well, you mentioned Iran, so let's get to Iran. A few months ago, an Hamas leader by the name of Ismail Haniyeh was, if I pronounce it correctly, was killed in Iran. Can you tell us something about it? Was Israel behind this?
Yes, first, Israel didn't say that is behind it, but we know that we are glad that it happened because it's part of our war against Hamas is to put down all the head of the commanders of Hamas, who is responsible for what we had in the 7th of October. And all the activities, of course, of the radical Islamic terrorist organization named Hamas. And we have to eliminate everybody that connected to that. And part of it is Haniyeh, as a head of the Hamas, that leading the Hamas to this kind of an action, have to get down from the map of the Middle East. So we are glad that it happened, but I can speak about this operation in general without saying who's responsible, who did it. In general, we know that Haniyeh was a visitor of the Iranian, and it wasn't the first time. And when intelligence organization wants to do some kind of attack like that, first we have to learn a lot about the person itself and his activity. And we are going back on time to the times back that Haniyeh was visited in Iran. And we can learn from the other visitors that he visited Iran and was hosted by the Iranian forces in the same building every time. It's a building that is very secured with a lot of forces from the Iranian forces, and every time is hosting in the same place. This is a thing that is very easy for intelligence when a person doing the same thing again and again and again. Then you can plan to do something to the next time. So as I can understand, when we know that he will be in Iran next week or next month, we can start plan about the hosting of him in the same place that we know that he will be a host. It's not just this place. It's also movement. It's also maybe an office that he's going into at the same time in the same place. And it's a pattern that we have to learn. In that case, the pattern of hosting in the same hotel, in the same facility, every time that he was there, was making the intelligence information very clear that this is a place that we can plan on it. Now, when we know that we want to attack him in that place, of course, it's not enough. Now we have to plan how we will do it. Now, there is a few options. First, to attack it from the outside or to attack it from the inside. If we want to attack it from the inside, it's enough for us to launch a missile, as we thought at the beginning that happens when we heard what the Iranians said. At the beginning, they said that it was a missile from the outside that hits the right window, that it was his room. So this is one of the things that we can do. So we can plan about some kind of a unit that will be close enough to the facility, and the right time they will launch the missile through the window. This is one way that we can plan. Another way, and we can hear now that this is maybe the option that happens, is to put some explosive in his room. And when you know the exact room, you know the exact bed. For example, it's not enough to put an explosive in the same room, because you don't want to put all building down. You want to achieve the very specific hit on the same person. So you need to know what bed he's using and then to put the explosive in his bed. This is another thing that it can happen. But still, it's not enough, as you can understand. Even if we know that he is going to be in this facility, even if you have a plan to hit them by his bed or his window with a missile, now we need to know in the right time and the right place, of course, that he is there already, that he is sleeping in his bed. This information, it's the update information that we needed for operating it on the right time. So it's not enough to plan it from before, to have the ability to do it. It's also in the right time, the right moment that we know that he's sitting or maybe putting himself into his bed and now is sleeping, and this is the right time to operate it and to put as I said before, to push the red button. This is also information that we need. And for that, you understand that we need another thing. We need somebody that will tell us that is now in his room, maybe to listen to the voices and to say it's quiet. That means that he's sleeping in his bed. Or another option, to put a bug in his room and to listen by a bug information system and through the satellite and through maybe some other device to listen update on time and to know it by listening, not by somebody that will work inside. So what we understand now, that it's not enough from the outside to do this kind of operation. We need information from the inside. What's leading me to the conclusion that I say we, it's who did it, the intelligence organization that was dealing with that kind of attack, having some information from the inside, maybe some personnel that we recruit, that we operate from the inside, maybe some member of the Iranian team, maybe somebody that works there, maybe some supplier that works with the facility, that having the ability to get in or out. Sometimes it's a cleaner, sometimes it's somebody that is doing technician work on the air condition. It doesn't matter. It's the ability to get into the place itself.
Well, also because you have to make sure that you have killed the right person after the mission. For instance, what I'm thinking of here now is that when they killed Osama bin Laden, they were sure that they killed Osama bin Laden because somebody was physically there. While, for instance, for other Al-Qaeda leaders, such as al-Zawahiri or Hamza bin Laden, we're not sure that they were killed in particular.
Yes, I can use an example of another hit that was happened in 2020, December, I think. It was Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was the head of the nuclear program of Iran that got hit by a shooting system inside Iran, very near Tehran. What we know from the investigation of the Iranian, that the system was built and placed on a car, on a truck, or a pickup truck, in the way of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was driving his car, and he got hit by a machine gun that was operated from far away, unhand. So we are thinking about the system that will be able to know to shoot in the right place and the right person. As you're saying, we have to be sure that he is the right person. What the Iranians say in the investigation, that it was a face recognition system in the system itself. And that's how the system was operating on the right person. So it's a lot of system that can work in that kind of an operation to be sure that we are hitting the right person. also face recognition, as we can see in the hit of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh.
But why is Iran supporting Hamas? What's their role?
Of course, as we said, Iranian regime of the Ayatollah wants Israel to be destroyed. This is what they are saying. They are saying that we'll achieve it in few years. Maybe we are looking about one of the stages of this thinking, of this wheeling, let's say. And the Iranian knows that they don't want to do it from the border of Iran. And few years ago, they decided to put proxies in front of them and to use other personnel to win this war. And it's very cheap for them, let's say, to use other forces instead of Iranian forces, because Iranian personnel will not be heated. So it's a war that if we are working it with our proxies, we will not be heated, because we are on our borders. We didn't do anything to Israel from our border. Of course, now we know that they did. But the main idea is to build forces outside of Iran that will work and operate for Iran. One of them is the Hamas. Even if the Hamas is not Shia, even if the Hamas is Sunnah, is the Islamic Brotherhood, and they are against Iran, still it's somebody that is working operationally against Israel. So we can work with them. And Iran built on the Hamas as a hand of them, one of the hands, as Hezbollah, as the Houthis, as the militia in Iraq or in Syria, that works for the Iranian. They are putting money on it. They are giving them a arm, of course, all these years. They are arming them. They are forcing them, power them to make the war for them. That's why it's very easy to work with the Hamas, because Hamas is very near Israel, is doing a terrorist attack on Israel from very close distance, and it's part of the war in the strategic watch of what we see in the plan of the Iranian.
Situation right now in the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip. Let's go back to the very beginning of this conflict. What is going on in those two zones right now?
First, it's different, because when we are talking about the Gaza Strip, as Hamas was ruling there and the Gaza Strip was closed and we had no ability to get inside free, but now it's of course changed because the army, the Israeli army, is inside Gaza. In the West Bank, it's worked otherwise. Was ruling West Bank is the Palestinian authorities, and they are ruling also the terrorist attacks, even if it's not formally used by the authorities of the Palestinian, but the groups of the terrorist organizations inside the West Bank is working, and as the authorities of the Palestinian are launching them, are using them against Israel, of course. And the situation now is more easy for us because we are inside already. Inside meaning physically. Physically, Israel are, if we need to do some action, some army action, some attack, as we can see in these days even, on some group of terrorists, it's easier for us to make sure that we have the right information about them, to work with the information, intelligence information, very accurate, and hit them more efficiently. But still, it's not a situation that ended. We are just in the middle of it, or maybe it's not the beginning, but we see that it's not stopped because the event of what happened in Gaza, and they're achieving more and more abilities. The Iranian, again, is making sure that they are having explosive and weapons getting from the border of Jordan. Iranian will put the arm through Iraq, through Jordan, with the border of Israel inside the West Bank. And we saw it last week, the chief of the intelligence, Shin Bet, to put the hands on this kind of a weapon. This weapon, this explosive, are used by terrorist organizations, small terrorist groups in West Bank against the army, against the Israeli population that lives in the West Bank. And also they want, and maybe they will have ability to work in terrorist attacks inside Israel also.
Well, there's an arrest mandate on Netanyahu, your prime minister, that was issued a few weeks ago for war crimes in Gaza. To me, that doesn't make sense at all to issue an arrest mandate on somebody that is the leader of a nation, because if you have to discuss a ceasefire, what are you going to do? Discuss the ceasefire with a war criminal? It doesn't make much sense to me. What are your thoughts about it?
First, this miserable saying is making a lot of damage, and damage, of course, for Israel international. And I will say why. First, because it's a big lie. It's not the truth. We know, and we have evidence, and Israeli forces are giving this evidence in wartime, not just in Gaza, also in Lebanon. You can see the spokesman in Arabic. In Arabic, Israel are talking to the population of Lebanon and give them the exact place that we will hit Hezbollah, and ask the population to go out of the place. We don't want to hit anybody that it's not involved in terrorist attack and the operation. And also in Gaza Strip, at the northern side of Gaza. We know, we have evidence, we see it, that we are giving the population the opportunity to get out from places that we are attacking. The people in the world see it. The evidence are in their eyes. We are photoing it in the television. Population, not involved population, are getting out of places that we are in war. Even if the Hamas is holding them by force to be a shield for them, we are hitting the Hamas that way that we are giving the opportunity to the population to get out. So first thing, it's a big lie. This saying, it's a big lie. And we have now to prove that it's a big lie. This is the most damage that we have in the world. This is first thing. Second, we know now that in the Western world, people that is anti-Semitism and also against Israel wants the evidence that Israel is doing war crime. They are watching for it. They are looking for it. Nobody finds it. Actually, you can't find it because it's not happening. And when somebody that was a prime minister of Israel, was the head of the army, is getting out to the press and say it happening, it's an evidence for them to say, look, your people are telling us that you are doing war crimes. So what are you saying? We have now to prove that what he said, it's a lie. And this is the most damage that we can have from this kind of this kind of pronouncement of this person. It's not just a citizen in Israel. He was a prime minister, and he knows that it's a lie. He's using it for political reasons. He is not in the political place now to rule in Israel. He's against Netanyahu politically. And because he's against the Netanyahu and the government of Israel, and he wants to put them down, he can say these kind of things that can put Netanyahu down, of course, put the government down. He thinks that it will damage the government of Israel. But what is very a pity here, and it's tragic also, that that kind of person have to understand that it's not just a damage politically of Prime Minister and the government of Israel. It's a damage for Israel, for all, for the how people are watching us from the outside of Israel, from the world, from Hague, from every place that people wants to show that Israel is doing crime war, and it's not the real thing that happened. It's a damage also from outside. So from my point of view, it's not just a foolish thing to say in that time, especially. It's also a lie, and also it's like we're using it when we are soldiers, and we have a command car that we are all inside, and one of us is shooting inside the command car. It's like, what are you saying? You are part of us, and you are shooting inside against us. You are shooting about yourself. You're doing the damage to the state of Israel, the foreign affairs of Israel. It's a big damage and a foolish thing to do.
See as a long-term solution for this conflict, because in the West, everyone thinks that the two-state solution is the final solution. But if the terrorists want to destroy Israel, how can having two states be the solution? I don't get it. What are your thoughts?
Okay, first, it was a thought that some people even now think that a state of Islamic State with borders to Israel inside the area of Israel, it's not a thing that we can share because we know that they want to achieve more. Look what they are saying on the demonstration in Europe and in all places. They are saying from the river to the sea. What it means that Israel can't exist here. If you are talking about people and politically that thinks that Israel can't be here, it's not legitimate in this area, we can't do nothing about it, and we can't live with that kind of a foreign force and give them the ability to be a country. So, as I can understand in this time, maybe in 10 years, 20 years, it will be another situation after they will leave all the thought that they want to throw us out of this region, and they say that Israel is legitimate in any borders. I'm not talking about the borders now. I'm talking about any legitimate here in the region. The Zionist Jewish state is legitimate here in the region. If they will say, and in the future, we will see that we can do something with it, maybe we can achieve two states. But now, when we see what they say, when I hear what they say, and we see what they are doing, we can't give them the opportunity to do it from the borders, from giving them any kind of a state, as you are saying, a state of Palestine state near Israel, because we see what happens when we are giving them, and we gave them the opportunity to prosperity in Gaza Strip. We left them. We pushed out all our citizens out of Gaza to do it, and we gave them the opportunity to live with us in peace. And look what happens. So this experience that we had is leading us to a point that we can't say that we can leave them with a country with borders near us. Not now. Maybe in the future. Maybe when we will see evidence they are not educating their children to hatred. They are not educating their children to violence. They don't say in their maps that they want to achieve a Palestine state from the river to the sea. Maybe it will be a time for us to sit down and to say, okay, let's give you something.
Well, Amit, many thanks for your time and for your explanations. I think that this morning we got some of the best explanations about the Middle East ever, also in the official media. So I think that this video will be very useful for everyone who wants to take the time and watch it. So thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to the world, because it's very important for us that the world will listen and understand our point of view, and not just the Islamist radical in the region and also in the world itself.
Indeed. And thanks everybody else for watching this, and see you all in my next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.